Lou Holtz, a titan in college football coaching, as well as our colleague here at ESPN after he retired, has passed away at the age of 89. He spent 33 years as a head coach in football, most notably the third of those that he spent coaching the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who he led to an unbeaten season and national title in 1988. He inspired ferocious loyalty among those he coached and remains beloved in South Bend.
The stories have been endless over the last couple of days as people honor the legacy of the legendary Lou Holtz. My personal favorite was a story that was told by Mike Greenberg at ESPN. Over 25 years ago, Mike Greenberg was walking through the studios at ESPN with Lou Holtz. I believe it was the first time they had met, and Mike Greenberg was telling Lou Holtz that he was becoming a new father in the next few weeks. As soon as he said that, Lou Holtz stopped walking. Mike Greenberg looks back at him, wondering what the hell's going on. Lou Holtz looked up at Mike Greenberg and said, "Young man, the best thing that you could ever do for your child is show them how much you love their mother." You know, a lot of times when people pass away, society tends to focus on the positive aspects of their life instead of the negatives, the mistakes. But even when he was alive, I never really heard anyone who had something bad to say about Lou Holtz. But imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise as I'm reading through the messages of Positivity Wednesday and I see that Keith Olbermann, KTB, I see that the boy named Pooh has once again taken it upon himself to be the party pooper, and he ruins the party with his incredibly toxic ass gas. The disease of politics has become so rampant that death has now become politicized. Back in September, Charlie Kirk, as you guys know, he was assassinated. If this had happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, the death of Charlie Kirk, it would have been a moment that unified the country. Instead, it was another moment that was exploited and used to further divide us. Within seconds, lonely woke white women were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. In the weeks and the months that followed, people like Candace Owens started investigating his death. You know, since she has so much experience in law enforcement, she is uniquely qualified to investigate it. I'm just asking questions. Erica Kirk went from being a grieving widow to being accused of orchestrating the murder of her own husband. Look, I don't know anything about Erica Kirk. I haven't kept up with the story. I'm not in their target demographic, so I really didn't follow or keep up with Turning Point USA when Charlie Kirk was alive. For all I know, Erica Kirk is either a grieving widow or a master deceiver. But what I do know, it's not my place to judge how she handles or how she grieves the loss of her husband. I cannot imagine losing my wife in that way in front of a global audience than having every facial expression, every move I make being analyzed and judged. Then I've got some lunatic who's acting like a jilted lover, telling everyone that I worked with the Egyptian pharaoh to arrange the death of my wife. The disease of politics has become so rampant. Death has become politicized. The loss of life has become another excuse to be a grifter. We no longer have the decency to set politics to the side to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk or Lou Holtz. Wednesday night, Hours after it was announced that Lou Holtz had passed away, Keith Olbermann was already doing what he does best, spreading his misery and showcasing his evil. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So going to get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. My uncle called me back in November. He's a military veteran, served in the Gulf War in the early 90s. But as he has got older, he's been dealing with various health-related issues. Doctors had him on pain management, had him taking all this medication just to get him to sleep at night, most of which wasn't working. Once the meds wore off, he was tossing and turning all night. Plus, he was building up a tolerance. My aunt bought him some CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading. Wanted him to try it out just to see if it would work. My uncle applies the CBD lotion every night before he goes to bed. He is getting the best sleep that he has gotten in years. Doesn't even take the pain medication anymore because he doesn't need it. Over the holidays, one of my long-term viewers reached out to me telling me how the CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading alleviated his back pain. He had been dealing with back pain for years, couldn't find anything that worked. Bought a bottle of CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain. 20 or so minutes later, back pain was gone. I've got countless stories from viewers, friends, family. They all tell me the same thing. They cannot believe this stuff actually works. There is a reason Sugar Mountain Trading has been with me for 18 months now. My audience keeps buying their CBD because Sugar Mountain Trading is the real deal. All CBD products offered at Sugar Mountain Trading, 100% natural, 100% free of THC. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL25, BTL25. Receive 25% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. As normal people were celebrating the life of the legendary Lou Holtz, this is how the boy named Pooh chose to honor him. Check it out for yourself. Hey, lonely men, it's me, creepy Uncle Keith. I just got off the phone with my bestie, Bob Cressenstein. We have decided to combine our toxins to release the following mouth fart. Dear Lou Holtz, you were a legendary scumbag. R.I.P. Keithy and Bobby. P.S. I hate you! Ah! If you're unfamiliar with this deranged asshole, if you're unfamiliar with the life of misery that Keith Olbermann has lived, you're probably thinking to yourself, what's the big deal? Sure, this is tasteless, but it's not that big of a deal, right? With maniacs like Keith Olbermann, it is important to understand the full context. It's important to understand the lifetime of evil. A couple of weeks ago, he attacked his former colleague, Linda Cohn, because she had the audacity to defend the young men on Team USA against baseless attacks from assholes like Keith Olbermann. The boy named Pooh, he was critical of Team USA because they accepted an invitation from Donald Trump to be honored in front of the entire country at the State of the Union. How dare these peasants accept this honor? No one should expose themselves to the orange disease. I know this better than anyone. I have spent the last decade living with an incurable case of stage 4 OMB. Oh, it's been bad! According to Pooh, the young men on Team USA, they are guilty of misogyny because the women from Team USA declined their invitation to the White House. Uncle KC, how does that make them misogynist? I'm just asking questions. Yeah. Yeah, logical questions are not allowed. You're only allowed to ask questions if those questions further a conspiracy theory that has no basis in reality. Speaking of misogyny, back in January, Keith Olbermann attacked a young woman named Caitlin Wheeler, a former women's swimmer at the University of Kentucky. Caitlin experienced the uncontrollable rage of creepy Uncle Keith because she celebrated a women's rights rally that was fighting against men in women's sports. All of my young men in Gen Z, you might think Uncle KC is full of shit. You might not agree with anything that I say, but if you're a young man in Gen Z, I beg you to take what I am about to say seriously. Before most of you guys in Gen Z were born, Keith Olbermann was a normal dude. Those of us who grew up in the 90s, we used to remember Keith Olbermann fondly as one half of the greatest sports center duo in the history of ESPN. Even in his early days at MSNBC, Keith Olbermann was still somewhat normal. He was still a doofus Democrat, but he wasn't out of his mind. But after years of fighting the devastating symptoms of stage 4 OMB, after years of refusing treatment, after years of unbelievable loneliness, years of having minimal interactions with women who are capable of breathing without the assistance of an air compressor, Keith Olbermann went from a normal American dude to this. These are the effects of OMB. This is what happens when you embrace the woke wiener. This is the end result. You will not age gracefully. Here in about 30 years, you'll look in the mirror and see a man who acts like a teenage girl. You know what else I find strange about the aftermath of the passing of Lou Holtz? And this is further proof that death has become politicized. Before Tim Walz became a male birthing person with a menstrual cycle, he was infected with toxic masculinity and he was an assistant football coach at the high school level in Minnesota. In 1986, Senator Cory Booker, he was a high school football player who was being recruited by Lou Holtz at Notre Dame. There are several doofus Democrats who either knew Lou Holtz personally or they have a background in football. Now, with that being the case, you would think they would honor the passing of a legend. Instead, the vast majority of doofus Democrats, they are choosing to exercise their right to remain silent. I wonder why. You know, to be honest with you, it's better than the alternative. I would rather they remain silent than emulate the boy named Pooh and spread their misery. But it shows you how politicized we have become. This is why a lot of us were complaining years ago when the disease of politics was infecting sports. Once you allow the disease of politics in, it is damn near impossible to eradicate it. Politics has infected every facet of American culture, and look at the end result. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.